Imagine arriving in a new place full of life and new sights and sounds. You might eat tasty food, see old buildings, or laugh with someone new. The world has so many amazing things to see and do. We want to go to new places, live like others do, and make memories that stay with us. But sometimes we feel unsure. What if I don't understand? What if I say something wrong? What if I feel alone? Not knowing the language or customs can stop us from enjoying our trips fully. This book, Speak Like a Local, is here to help. It's like a friend that makes travel worries disappear. We won't ask you to learn hard grammar or many words. Travel English means learning the important words and phrases to get around easily. This includes ordering food, asking for directions, checking into a hotel, and meeting people. But knowing words is only part of it. To truly connect, you need to understand the heart of a place, its culture. This book will help you learn about local ways, understand how people act, and show respect. This makes talking with others more special and your trips better. By learning words and understanding culture, your trips become more real and more fun. You go from just watching to being a part of things. The first thing you'll feel is more sure of yourself. Imagine going into a shop, asking something, and actually understanding the answer. Think about using buses or ordering food without worry. When you feel confident, you can relax, be in the moment, and enjoy where you are. When you can talk well and understand local ways, your trips change. You can go to less common places, find local spots not in books, and miss tourist traps. You'll see what real life is like. The best part might be connecting with people more deeply. A simple thank you in their language, a smile, or knowing a local custom can open doors and create real human moments. These are often the best memories of a trip. In the end, this book will make your travels easier, less worrying, and much more fun. 1. Learning English for travel. The sound of a plane flying, the nice smell of new foods in a busy market, seeing a famous place you only dreamed about. These are the special moments of traveling. But sometimes a small worry can come. It's the fear of not being understood. We all want our trips to be great, right? We want to see new places, eat real local food, and feel like we are really there. And often, the easiest way to do this is by knowing a little bit of English. You might think, I know hello and thank you. Is that enough? Those are good to start with. But travel English is more. It helps you in the real world when you are visiting. Think about it. What do you do when you are hungry and need to find a place to eat? Or when you are lost and need to ask for the way? Or when you want to get a room for the night, or just understand what the food is on the menu? These are the everyday things on a trip. Knowing how to handle them with a few simple English words makes things easier. It makes your whole trip better. Imagine this: you are in a small shop. The air smells like nice coffee. You want to try a sweet bread you have never seen. You point to it, but the person helping you looks confused. You start to feel a little worried. But if you know a few key phrases, you can say, "Excuse me, what is this?" Or can you suggest something? Then, the confusion goes away. The person smiles. Maybe they show you the things inside the bread or tell you a short story about it. This small talk, made possible by a few words, turns a simple order into a real connection. It's not just about getting food. It's about understanding a small part of the local life, shared by talking. This is the power of travel English. It helps you go from just watching to being a part of things. This is where our book is very helpful. We are not trying to make you speak like a very old writer. Instead, we are focusing on the English you will use every day. We are talking about the phrases that make you feel safe, the words that open doors, and the understanding that makes you feel like you belong there, not just passing through. When you feel more sure of yourself when speaking, you will not want to stay in your hotel room or only go to places for tourists. You will feel brave enough to walk down an interesting side street, to talk to someone in a shop, or to ask someone where the best place to eat is. This feeling of being more sure of yourself is like a special power. It lets you truly enjoy your adventure. And this brings us to the main idea: travel English and understanding culture. It's not just about learning words. It's about knowing how to use those words in real travel situations. It's about knowing how to ask for directions clearly, not just pointing. It's about knowing the rules for ordering food, like if you should wait to sit down or find a table. Yourself. When you learn the language and a little about the culture, like how people say hello or how fast life moves, you can talk more easily with local people. And when you can talk more easily, you feel more sure of yourself. This makes your trip much better because you are not just seeing a place, you are connecting with it and its people. Think about Sarah. She was always a little shy. She liked visiting new countries but often felt confused by the language. On her first trip to Italy, she used a lot of pointing and phone apps to translate. She saw the sights, but she felt a wall between her and the people there. She saw people laughing together in cafes and wanted to be part of it. Before her next trip to Spain, she decided to try something new. She learned a few key phrases for ordering food, asking for directions, and even simple greetings like "How are you?" And "It's a beautiful day." She practiced saying them until they felt natural. On her trip, she was in a small restaurant run by a family. The menu was only in Spanish, and she knew her phone app might not be perfect. Instead of feeling nervous, she took a deep breath. With a smile, she asked the waiter, "¿Qué me recomienda?" "What do you recommend?" The waiter's face became bright. He explained the special of the day with excitement, talking about the tastes and the history of the food. He even taught her a few more Spanish words about food. Later, as she was leaving, she used another phrase she had learned: "Muchas gracias por todo." "Thank you very much for everything." The owner, who heard her, came over and shook her hand. He said in simple English, "You are welcome. You speak very good Spanish." Sarah left that restaurant feeling warm. It was not just from the good food. It was the feeling of being connected, of being welcomed, of having crossed a gap with just a few simple, well-chosen words. That experience completely changed how she saw travel. She understood that learning a little language was not just about being able to do things. It was about showing respect, trying your best, and opening yourself up to real human contact. This is the kind of experience we want for you. We want you to feel that same sense of success and connection. Learning travel English is about making your trip easier, yes, but it's also about making it richer, more meaningful, and more memorable. It's about changing moments of confusion or being alone into chances for laughter, understanding, and making friends. It's about having the confidence to step out of your usual comfort and discover the world in a deeper way. When you can ask for directions and understand the answer, you save time and avoid being upset. When you can order food without worry, you can try local foods without fear. When you can book a place to stay without problems, you can relax and enjoy your visit. These useful skills are the base for building deeper connections. They free your mind, letting you be more present and aware. Instead of worrying about what to say next, you can focus on the bright colors of the market, the detailed designs of the buildings, or the real smile of the local you just had a quick chat with. The good thing about this way of learning is that anyone can do it. You don't need to study grammar books for years. We are focusing on the most important phrases and the most common things travelers face. We are giving you the tools to communicate well, to show respect for the local culture, and to build bridges of understanding. This is about giving you the power to have more real experiences, to create stories you will tell for many years, and to feel like you truly belong, even when you are far from home. So, as we continue, remember that every phrase you learn, every cultural tip you take in, is another step towards a more enjoyable travel adventure. It's about opening a new part of your trip where you are not just watching, but are actively involved. It's about understanding that a few simple English words can open up a world of chances, leading to connections that are the real treasures of any trip. Now that we know how important practical English is for making your travels better, let's look at the specific things you will see and the important phrases that will help you handle them like an expert. 2. Speaking like local people. The world is full of many sounds, like music and people talking. When you travel, you hear all these sounds. You have learned some helpful words, like how to ask for a train ticket or find your hotel. This is great. It helps you get what you need. But what if you could understand more? What if you could join the conversation? This is why learning to talk a little like the people who live there is important. It's not just about knowing words. It's about understanding how people really talk to each other every day. Think about it. When people talk on a bus, in a coffee shop, or walking down the street, they don't usually say perfect sentences from a book. They use short ways of saying things, common phrases, and a certain feeling in their voice. This is like local talk, and it's very useful. You won't find it in most guidebooks, but it helps conversations go smoothly, makes people smile, and helps you feel like you belong. Let's think about Sarah. Sarah likes to travel. She always has her notebook with important phrases. She can order food, ask for directions, and book a room. But she often feels a little separate. When she asks someone for help, she uses very polite words. The person understands, but sometimes their answer feels far away. Sarah sees that when people talk to each other, it's different. It's faster and more relaxed. They use short greetings, little phrases that make things easy. She wishes she could do that. One day, Sarah wants to buy a souvenir. She knows the word for what she wants. She goes to the counter and says, in her clear, textbook English, "Excuse me, I would like to purchase this item, please." The shopkeeper, a kind older woman named Mrs. Chen, nods and starts to wrap it. But Sarah feels a little sad. She sees Mrs. Chen talk to another customer, a younger local woman. Their talk is full of quick nods, little laughs, and phrases like, "Oh, you too?" And yeah, it's a good one. Sarah sees that her own sentence, while correct, was like a formal letter when everyone else was writing friendly notes. This is where talking like local people starts to be wonderful. It's about the small, everyday talks. Take greetings, for example. Instead of always saying hello, how are you? Which is fine, you might hear people say, hi there, or hey, how's it going? Or even morning. These sound more natural, like a warm welcome. When you use these more casual greetings, you are telling people, I want to be friendly, like you. This small effort can make a big difference. It's like offering a smile instead of just a nod. And it's not just greetings. Think about asking for help. Instead of a long, formal sentence, someone might say, "Excuse me, could you give me a hand with this?" Or "Sorry to bother you." Do you know where these phrases are shorter, more direct, but also polite in a relaxed way? They show you are a person asking another person for a favor, not a robot following instructions. This is the main idea of travel English and cultural connection. It's about using language in a way that feels real and helps build a connection between you and the people you meet. One of the best tools local speakers use are small words and sounds that keep a conversation going. These are little things we use to show we are listening or to fill a short silence. Things like right, yeah, though, really, or I see. When you listen to someone speak, nodding and using these little sounds shows you are paying attention. It makes the speaker feel heard and liked. It's like a soft sound of agreement and understanding that keeps the talk alive and moving. Sarah started to notice these small things. She heard people say no worries when someone said sorry, instead of a more formal "you're welcome." She heard them use cheers as a thank you, especially in places like the UK or Australia. She realized these weren't just random words. They were part of how local people talked. They were easy ways to be warm and friendly. So, how can you learn and practice these small things without sounding like you are trying too hard or, even worse, being rude? The key is to watch and gently copy. First, become a good watcher. When you are in a coffee shop, listen to the workers and the customers. When you are buying something, listen to the shopkeeper and their regular customers. Pay attention not just to the words, but to how they sound, how fast they talk, and the little phrases they use. What sounds do they make when they agree? How do they ask a question nicely? How do they say goodbye? Let's look at a travel situation, asking for ideas. You are in a new city and want to find a good place to eat. A textbook way might be, could you please recommend a restaurant that serves local food? This is fine, but a bit stiff. A local might say, hey, know any good spots around here for some food? Or what's a nice place to eat nearby? Spots is a casual way to say places. Using these, even if you are not sure of the exact meaning, shows you are trying to speak their language. It's a small risk, but it often leads to a warmer answer. Another example is saying thank you. Imagine someone helped you, perhaps someone who went out of their way. You could say, thank you very much for your help. This is formal and correct. But you might also hear, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Or you've been a lifesaver, thank you. Lifesaver means someone who helped you a lot. Using phrases like these, when they fit, shows a deeper level of thanks and connection. It's not just about saying thanks, it's about showing the feeling of thanks. Sarah decided to try. The next day, at a small bakery, she wanted to tell the baker her pastry was very good. She practiced saying, "This is really good," in her head. But then she remembered hearing people say, "This is amazing," or "Wow, this is delicious." She took a deep breath and, with a smile, said to the baker, "Wow, this is really delicious. Thank you." The baker smiled widely, his eyes getting small. He then started to explain about his special ingredients. Sarah, though she did not understand every word, understood the warmth and the shared good feeling. It was a small moment, but for Sarah, it felt big. She had not just bought a pastry, she had shared a moment of real connection. This is where how people from different cultures use language becomes very important. How you say something can be as important as what you say. For example, in many cultures, talking to older people needs a special kind of respect. While in some English-speaking places, using first names is common, in others, it's better to use titles like Mr., MS, or Professor until they ask you to use their first name. Learning these small social rules and the language that goes with them shows you respect their way of life. It's about understanding that language is not just words, but a sign of values and relationships. Think about saying sorry. A simple sorry is often enough. But if you have really bothered someone, you might hear people say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, my apologies," or "So sorry about that, really didn't mean to." Adding really or so can show you are very sorry. This is about showing real regret, not just saying the words. Building confidence through this kind of real talk is a good thing. When you try to talk like local people, even if it's just a few phrases, you are showing you want to connect. People usually respond more warmly to someone who is trying to speak their language, even if they make mistakes. This good response, in turn, makes you feel more confident. You feel more comfortable starting conversations, asking for help, or just having a light chat. It's the opposite of feeling like an outsider. It's about feeling like you are part of things. Sarah started to try more things. She learned that in many English-speaking countries, saying "How's it going?" is a common greeting, and the usual answer is a short "Good, thanks, you?" or "Not bad," rather than a long story about your life. She learned that phrases like "no problem" or "no worries" are often used instead of "you're welcome" in casual times. She even started using little sounds like "wow" or "cool" when something impressed her, copying the natural excitement she heard around her. She also found the art of the friendly nod and the simple thanks when someone held a door open or let her pass. These small actions, with the right tone of voice, are powerful. They say, "I see you, I appreciate you, we are sharing this space together." This is the heart of travel, English, and cultural connection working, using language and actions to create good interactions between people. It's also very important to remember that talking like a local isn't about perfectly copying accents or using words you don't understand. It's about taking on the feeling of local talk, being friendly, polite in a natural way, and showing you are really interested. It's about trying to sound less like a tourist and more like a welcomed guest. Listening carefully is the other part of this skill. If you want to talk like a local, you must first learn to listen like one. This means paying attention to the rhythm of their speech, the pauses, which words they say louder, and the messages that are not spoken. Sometimes, what people don't say is as important as what they do say. They might use a softer tone to disagree politely or a quick, light tone to say a small problem is not important. By listening closely, you start to notice these small clues. This helps you understand not just the words, but the reason behind them. For example, if someone says, "That might be a bit difficult," they are likely not just stating the fact. They are probably politely saying no or suggesting another way. Learning to understand these small differences helps you answer in the right way and avoid confusion. It's like learning to read between the lines, which is a very important part of any language. Sarah's journey wasn't about changing who she was. It was about adding new tools to her talking tools. She found that by using these more natural phrases and listening more closely, her talks became better. People seemed more open, more willing to chat. She felt more relaxed, less like she was always doing a language lesson. She was starting to connect. By understanding and practicing these parts of talking like local people, you are not just learning new words, you are opening doors to real connections. This ability to speak the language of everyday life will naturally lead us to learn how to handle more difficult situations with confidence, which is exactly what we will look at next. 3. Understanding culture. When you go to a new place, you use English to ask for things, buy things, and find your way. This is very important. But what if you say the right words, and people still look confused or maybe even a little unhappy? This can happen because words are only one part of the story. The other, just as big part, is culture. Think of it like this: English is the car you drive. It takes you from one place to another. But culture is the road you drive on, the signs you see, and even how other drivers act. If you don't understand the road, you might hit a bump, miss a turn, or even have a small problem. Understanding culture helps you drive smoothly and enjoy your trip. It means seeing the world the way the people who live there see it. This is not about knowing every single custom perfectly. That would take a very long time. It's about watching carefully and being respectful. When you show you care about their way of life, people will be much more likely to welcome you, help you, and share their world with you. This is the main idea of travel English and cultural connection. It's using your English not just to get by, but to truly connect with people. So, how can you learn about culture, even if you don't have much time? It starts with being curious and open. When you arrive, take a moment to just watch and listen. How do people say hello to each other? Do they shake hands, bow, or just smile? Do they stand close when they talk, or do they keep some space? Notice how people wait in line for buses or in shops. Is it a straight line, or more like a friendly group? These small things tell you a lot. Let's pretend you are in a busy market. You want to ask a shopkeeper a question. In some places, it's normal to walk right up and start talking. You might say, "Excuse me, how much is this?" But in other cultures, it's more polite to wait for the shopkeeper to notice you first. They might be busy with another customer, or they might have a special way to invite you to come closer. If you just walk in without waiting, you might seem a bit pushy, even if you don't mean to be. So, a good first step is to look at them, give a small smile, and wait for them to show you they are ready for you. This simple act of waiting and watching can make a big difference. Another common area where culture is very important is when eating. You might be invited to someone's home for a meal, or you might eat in a restaurant. What is polite? In many Western countries, it's polite to finish all the food on your plate to show you liked it. But in some other cultures, leaving a tiny bit of food on your plate is actually a sign that you have had enough and that your host gave you plenty. If you eat everything, they might feel they need to give you more food, and you might feel too full. It's a small thing, but knowing this can help you feel more relaxed and avoid feeling awkward. And what about greetings? In many English-speaking countries, a quick hi, how are you, is common, and often the answer is just fine, thanks. It's more of a hello than a real question about how you are feeling. But in other places, a greeting is more serious and sincere. If someone asks how you are, they might really want to know. So, instead of just saying fine, you might want to give a slightly longer, but still short, answer, like I'm very well, thank you. It's lovely to meet you. This shows you are paying attention and are polite. Also, how you talk to people is important. Using Mr. or MS with a last name is often very respectful in formal situations in many cultures. If you are not sure, it's always safer to be a bit more formal at first and let the other person tell you to use their first name. We also need to think about personal space. We all have an invisible bubble around us, and how big that bubble is can be very different from person to person and culture to culture. In some places, people stand quite close when they talk, and this is normal and friendly. In others, people like to have more space between them. If you notice someone leaning back or looking uncomfortable when you stand close, it's a sign you might be too close for them. Just take a small step back. It's not a big problem, but it shows you are aware and respect their comfort. Let's talk about time. Being on time is very important in some cultures. Being even a few minutes late for a business meeting or an appointment can be seen as not respectful. In other cultures, however, time is more relaxed. Life might move more slowly, and being a little late for a party is perfectly fine, even expected. If you are invited to a party at 7 p.m. in a place where time is relaxed, arriving at 7:15 or even 7:30 might be okay. But if you are going to a formal event or a guided tour, it's usually best to be on time, or even a little early. How do you know the difference? Again, watch, or if you can, ask your host or guide. Is it okay if I arrive around 7:30? Is a good way to ask. Sometimes how people talk can be very direct in one culture and very indirect in another. If someone from a direct culture tells you something, they mean exactly what they say. If someone from an indirect culture gives you feedback, they might hint at it or say it in a way that is meant to keep things peaceful and avoid arguments. For example, if you ask, "Did you like the meal?" a direct person might say, "It was okay, but the sauce was a bit too salty." An indirect person might say, "It was very interesting. You certainly have a unique way of cooking." The second answer doesn't directly say they didn't like it, but it doesn't say they loved it either. It's a subtle way of saying it wasn't perfect. Learning to understand what people really mean, or knowing when to be direct and when to be gentler, is a skill that comes with practice and observation. What about hand signals? A simple thumbs up can mean good job in many places, but in some parts of the world, it can be a very rude insult. The OK sign, made by touching your thumb and first finger in a circle, is usually understood as good or all right in English-speaking countries. However, in some countries, it can mean zero or even be an offensive gesture. It's always a good idea to be careful with hand signals. If you are unsure, it's best to stick to a smile and a nod. When you visit religious places, like temples or churches, how you dress is often very important. You might need to cover your shoulders and knees. Sometimes, you will need to take off your shoes before going inside. These are signs of respect for a holy place. Before you visit, it's a good idea to quickly search online for dress code for name of temple church or ask your hotel. This way, you can dress the right way and avoid feeling embarrassed. Understanding these cultural differences is not just about avoiding mistakes. It's about opening doors to better experiences. Imagine you are trying to buy a souvenir. You could just point and pay. But if you have learned a few words of the local language and shown some interest in the local crafts, you might have a nice talk with the shop owner. They might tell you the story behind the item, or share a bit about their life. This connection, this real human interaction, is what makes travel truly memorable. It's what turns a simple purchase into a sharing of cultures. When you make an effort to understand and fit into local customs, you are sending a strong message. I respect your way of life, and I want to learn from you. This simple act of caring about other cultures can change how people treat you. They will see you not just as a tourist passing through, but as a thoughtful guest who is truly interested in their country and its people. This builds trust and creates chances for friendship and deeper understanding. So, to answer the question of how a traveler can learn about important cultural ways, the answer is be a detective. Before you go, do a little searching. Look up basic manners for your destination. Read a few travel stories from people who have been there. But most importantly, when you arrive, be a good observer. Watch how locals act in different situations. Listen to their conversations without being rude, of course. Notice their body language and how they interact. And if you are unsure about something, it's perfectly fine to ask politely. Most people are happy to explain their customs to a curious traveler. For real examples in everyday situations, let's think about eating and public transport. At the dinner table, as we talked about, finishing your plate versus leaving a little food is a key difference. Another might be how you offer to help. In some cultures, it's polite to offer to help clear the table. In others, the host might say it's their job and that guests should relax. A good way to act is to offer once, and if they politely say no, accept their wishes kindly. On public transport, you might notice people giving their seats to older people or pregnant women. This is a common politeness in many places, and it's good to do the same if you see the chance. Also, be aware of how loud things are. In some cultures, public transport is a place for quiet thought, while in others, it's more lively. Again, watch the general mood and try to fit in. In the end, understanding culture is about going beyond just speaking the language. It's about connecting with the heart of a place. When you mix your English skills with a real effort to understand and respect local ways, you are not just a visitor, you are a welcomed participant. You are building connections, not barriers. This awareness of culture is the special ingredient that changes your English from just being useful to truly connecting, making your travel experiences richer, more confident, and much more rewarding. By understanding the why behind local ways, you are not just a tourist, you are a welcomed guest. This awareness of culture is the special ingredient that changes your English from useful to truly connecting. Now that we have looked at how important it is to understand the local ways, let's look at the specific language tools that will help you move around with confidence. 4. Building confidence in new places. Landing in a new country feels like visiting another world. Everything looks, sounds, and smells different. Signs might be in a language you don't know. The busy streets might feel strange. Asking for help or ordering food might make you feel a little nervous. It's okay to feel unsure or a bit scared when you're in a place where you don't know the rules. This worry is normal for most travelers. It often comes from not knowing how to talk to people or what they expect. You might worry about saying the wrong thing, looking silly, or not getting help when you need it. But there's a wonderful secret. You can make that worry much smaller with just a few easy steps. Think about it. When you can't speak the language well, it's like being a detective without all the clues. You see and hear things, but you don't always know what they mean. Not understanding can make you hesitate. You might stand still, not sure which way to go. Or you might not try a tasty-looking local food because you don't know how to order it. This hesitation stops you from enjoying many exciting parts of travel. You end up watching from the side instead of being in the middle of everything. The good news is you don't need to be a language expert to feel better. You just need the right tools. The best tools we have are words, especially a few well-chosen English phrases. Imagine this: you're at a small cafe and want to try a local pastry. Instead of pointing and hoping, you can say, "Hello, one of those, please." Or you might be lost in a pretty old town. Instead of feeling worried, you can ask someone friendly, "Excuse me, could you tell me how to get to the main square?" These aren't hard sentences. They are simple and useful, but they can do a lot. When you say these basic phrases, you're not just asking for something, you're opening a door. You show you're trying, you respect their language and culture, and you're not afraid to connect. This small act of speaking can turn a possibly awkward moment into a friendly chat. These small phrases are like little keys that unlock bigger experiences. They let you go from just watching to being part of things. When you can ask for what you need, you feel more in control. When you can say good morning with a smile, you build a small bridge between you and others. This is not just about getting by, it's about connecting. The main idea here is travel, English, and cultural connection. It's not just about memorizing words, it's about knowing how to use them in real life and how they help. You connect with people when you learn to say thank you and mean it, and know that a nod and a smile are often good ways to show you appreciate something. You are already building that connection. Let's look at some important situations. Asking for directions is a big one. Feeling lost can be very confusing, but knowing phrases like "Where is the train station?" or "How do I get to the nearest bus stop?" can make a big difference. You're not just asking for information, you're starting a conversation. The person you ask might not speak perfect English, but they will likely understand and try to help. Their willingness to help, and your ability to ask creates a good cycle. The more you try, the more comfortable you become. Ordering food is another area where a few simple phrases can boost your confidence. Imagine being able to say, "I would like a coffee, please," or "Do you have a menu in English?" Or "What do you recommend?" These phrases let you explore local food without fear. You can try new dishes, enjoy local tastes, and have a more real dining experience. It's more than just eating, it's being part of a basic part of local culture, sharing a meal. And then there's the simple act of being polite. A please, a thank you, an excuse me, these are understood everywhere. But knowing when and how to use them in a different culture is very important. This is where cultural clues come in. Understanding this simple custom can be as useful as knowing the phrase. For example, in many cultures, looking someone in the eye when you speak shows respect. In others, it might seem too bold. Knowing these small things can make interactions much smoother. It makes it less likely you'll accidentally offend someone, and that makes you feel more confident. You feel more aware, more connected to your surroundings, and less like an outsider. Think about Sarah, a traveler I met in a busy market in Southeast Asia. She was usually quiet, and the noise and crowds made her feel overwhelmed. She wanted to buy pretty handmade scarves but was too nervous to talk to the sellers. She didn't know how to bargain or even start a conversation. She felt invisible. Then, she remembered a tip from this book: learn a few basic greetings and a polite way to ask the price. She took a deep breath and went to a seller. She smiled, said hello, and pointed to a scarf, asking, "How much is this, please?" The seller, who spoke very little English, smiled back and showed fingers to indicate the price. Sarah understood and nodded, saying thank you. She didn't buy the scarf that day, but that small chat changed everything for her. She realized she could communicate. She had taken the first step, and the seller's friendly response was encouraging. The next day, she returned to the market with more phrases and much more courage. She managed to ask about different colors, even bargained a little, and left with a bag of lovely souvenirs, feeling very proud. Her fear was replaced by pride. Sarah's story shows how understanding a simple cultural habit, like the importance of a friendly greeting and polite question, along with a few key English phrases, can greatly boost confidence. It's about changing how you think. Instead of thinking, "I can't communicate," you start thinking, "I can try." This change is very important. It's the difference between feeling stuck and feeling like you have the power to explore. When you start using these tools, the travel English and the cultural awareness, you begin to see yourself differently. You are no longer just a tourist trying to fit in or not be noticed. You become a traveler who is actively engaging with the place. You're not just looking at sights, you're talking to the people who live there. This change from watching to participating is very powerful. It makes the experience richer, more memorable, and much more fun. You start to feel a connection not just to the language, but to the place itself. You realize that the locals are people, just like you, and they are often happy to help someone who is trying to connect. And let's not forget the power of a real smile. Sometimes, even if your English isn't perfect, a warm smile and a friendly tone can go a long way. If you're struggling to find the right word, a smile can show warmth and good intentions. If you're trying to say you're thankful, a smile with a heartfelt thank you is understood almost everywhere. These simple actions, with the few English phrases you've learned, are your way to smoother interactions. They create a good feeling, making it easier for locals to understand you and more likely for them to want to help you. The beauty of learning to speak a little like a local is that it builds up. Each time you communicate well, each moment where you understand and are understood adds a little more confidence. You start to feel more relaxed, more willing to try new things. You are more likely to start a conversation, ask another question, or go somewhere off the usual path. This new confidence is the base for a truly good travel experience. It turns worry into real connection and opens up many possibilities you might have missed. This feeling of being able to handle new places with a smile and a few good words is exactly what travel English and cultural connection is all about. It's about giving you the practical language skills and the cultural understanding to feel safe and capable, no matter where you go. By learning how to greet people, ask for help, and show respect, you're not just learning a new language, you're learning how to connect with the world. So, what are the most common things that make travelers feel unsure? Often, it's the unknown. Not knowing how to ask for directions when lost, how to order food when hungry, or how to buy something in a shop. These are times when not being able to communicate can lead to frustration or feeling helpless. But how can specific English phrases help with that insecurity? By giving you a clear way to solve the problem. Instead of feeling stuck, you have a plan. Excuse me, where is the nearest restroom? This simple question turns a moment of possible panic into a problem you can solve. The phrase gives you the power to find an answer. It's a real tool that provides quick help and a sense of control. And how does understanding a simple cultural habit help a traveler feel more confident? Let's look at waiting in line. In many Western countries, lining up is normal. In other places, people might gather more loosely. If you know that in a certain place, people might gather more informally, you won't feel worried or upset. You won't think, oh no, there are no lines. I'll never get served. Instead, you can watch, adjust, and join the flow, perhaps by politely asking who is next. Or just waiting your turn and looking at the people around you. This understanding stops you from feeling out of place or unsure of what to do. It makes you feel more a part of the local way of life, and that feeling of belonging is a big confidence boost. It's like knowing a secret way to fit in. When you can handle these everyday interactions well, you are no longer just a visitor. You are a traveler who can confidently connect with the world around you. You start to feel like you belong, a connection to the place and its people. This is the magic of travel English and cultural connection working. It's about turning those moments of doubt into chances for real connection and good experiences. By giving you the right words and a basic understanding of local ways, you are not just visiting, you are starting to connect. This new confidence is the foundation for deeper involvement, and the next step is to explore the specific situations where you can use these skills. Conclusion. You have come to the end of our book. That is a wonderful thing. Think back to when you started. You wanted your trips to be easier, more fun, and less worrying. You spent time and effort, and now you have something very useful. Our goal was to help you. We wanted to give you the tools to not just survive in a new place, but to truly feel part of it. We wanted to show you that knowing a little English for travel and understanding the local ways can make your trips much better. Speaking like a local does not mean sounding exactly like someone who grew up there. It means understanding how they talk, using words that sound natural, and being polite. It means building bridges between people and making real friendships. All through this book, we looked at many real travel situations. We learned how to go through airports, check into hotels, order food, and ask for help finding places. You learned important words and phrases that help you every day. These are not just random words, they help people understand you and help you understand them. Remember the helpful phrases for asking nicely, saying thank you, and fixing problems. They are your special tools for a better trip. But Speak Like a Local is about more than just words. It is about the people who use those words. That is where understanding the culture becomes special. We looked at why people do certain things, the polite ways to act, and how to show respect for local customs. Knowing these things makes your trip much better than a normal one. When you try to understand their culture, even a little, you show you care. This simple act of respect can lead to people being friendlier, having better talks, and making memories you won't forget. Think about how much better your interactions are when you know why they say hello a certain way or how to praise their food. These cultural connections make you feel like you are truly part of the place, not just visiting. By using practical English for travel and truly liking the local culture, you have gained something very strong: confidence. Confidence to try new things, to talk to people, to ask questions, and to really feel the place you are in. This confidence helps you build real connections. It lets you go beyond just buying and selling, and to share smiles and maybe even make friends.